Well, aloha, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to PWT Talks NXT. We are talking NXT for May the 20th, 2025. Nate, can you hear me during the countdown? Like when the countdown's going on, if I say stuff, can you hear
No,
me?
if you'll
Or is that
notice,
muted?
the mute button is actually is enabled during the countdown.
Oh, because I
Yes.
frantically went, wait, what do I say at the beginning of this show? Um, because I've gotten old enough that I can't remember which one is aloha and which one is howdy do. Nailed it, folks, this time,
You did this
but
week.
we'll see what happens next time. Yeah, I didn't get to do the recap tonight. That was Nate's honor and privilege. Loves doing it, by the way.
Oh yeah, I love it.
I
Love it.
was
My favorite thing in the world.
absolutely, oh my gosh, it rained worse and longer than it has here in a really long time, and as such, there were accidents, and I was stuck on a road for a very long time. So thanks, Nate, for doing that. I also won't be able to do the one on Sunday because I will be at a cabin with my family with no Wi-Fi.
So yeah, you know what? I'll just say it
David will
now.
be
I'll
picking that
I'll
up.
do it. I'll do it. Why not?
Well, okay. I mean, that works for me. I was thinking maybe David would be stuck with that one, but yeah, by all means. The good thing about this show, not loaded with triple threats and four ways. So there's that to look forward to. It's not going to be a whole bunch of that on Battleground. So yeah, let's talk main event segment, because our main event was not a match. Joe Henry concert and a guitar to, I guess, the knees mostly, as he was going for a trick shot, as Trick was going for a trick shot. Joe Henry with the guitar shot with the El Kabong, courtesy of Jeff Jarrett. You know, maybe I would have liked Trick's rap concert more if I hadn't seen Swerve's, which was so good. um, Trick is fine. His stuff was really, really basic iambic pentameter stuff. It was okay. But he did it because he had to, because the other guy was doing his own concert. Hendry more confident in this format. I think the best thing that came from this was that when he said that he had footage of Trick from the past, I knew that we were going to get stuff from the House of Horrors or whatever they called those matches. Yeah, I thought that was going to be what they pulled from, and it certainly was. So yes, now these guys have thoroughly buried each other, and we've got Average Joe versus Mellows Bitch at Battleground. So good for them, I guess, in really making them the other both look weak. Goodfella says Average Joe kind of catchy, very mid, but I liked it. LOL. I agree with very mid, that's for sure. And he said few bars in between for sure. Yeah.
Mhm.
I also listen to quite a bit of rap. Listen to stuff that's on that's up there on a pretty high level. From Jedi Mind Tricks to Ghostface, and just stuff that's very inventive. So but I guess it's wrestling. Saying Average Joe 1,000 times is kind of what he should do. Branding, folks, that's what this is about. So
Yep.
for however silly this was, this is the match. When I think about Battleground, this is the match I think about. I don't think about a lot of what else is on the card, although I think the card's going to be fine. They've certainly got me thinking this is going to be the main event of Battleground. But anyway, they did what they did. Some believe in Joe Hendry. Trick's still got his fans out there, and I'm never going to agree with what they did with this more or less heel turn. Oh God, I can't skip this. Ryan Soloria says, I think Trick's rap would have been better if Booker T laid off on commentary. Oh my God, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he wasn't doing the guy any favors. Goodfella steps in with Outkast, De La Soul, Nas, Jay-Z, Biggie, Tribe, KRS Redman is my vibe. Goodfellas probably about my age. I like a lot of modern stuff too. I like a lot. I like Fashawn, if any of you know him. He's kind of underground. De La Soul, definitely the pick from what you did. Tribe, great too. Okay. So, and Goodfella says, see, I'm a Booker guy. I was feeling his hype up. I know what he's trying to do. I do. I didn't need it myself, but I guess as a hype man, he's pretty all right. So, okay. What where are we going from here? Yeah, you should go ahead and talk about these guys.
I was gonna say, I'm like, I can talk. No, I mean, so the Trick Williams segment, rap segment, it was, I mean, it was okay. It wasn't bad. I mean, in the recap, I said he's no Harry Mack, but it wasn't terrible. If you're not familiar with Harry Mack, Google him. Amazing freestyler.
I've known who Harry Mack was for like a month. It is so weird that you bring
Harry
that up.
Harry Mack freestyled about 4 feet in front of me last 2 weeks ago, which was great. Got to see him in Boston, which was awesome. But yeah, like he's I don't know. I'm not to gush about Harry Mack. Absolutely amazing. So like I said, Trick Williams, no Harry Mack on the mic, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't terrible. I think it served its purpose, but I also wrote in the report, I kind of also thought it was a bit of a waste of time. Like it felt almost out of place on the show. Not that I guess a wrestling show is really a place to have a concert per se. But it did. It just kind of felt out of place, at least in the spot that it was in. It was very short. He didn't really interact. I mean, I guess he kind of interacted with the crowd a little bit, but it was just very rudimentary and kind of. I guess the best way for me to describe it is I expected more out of it from Trick Williams and things like that. But again, I think it kind of served its purpose. On the flip side, the Joe Hendry concert is exactly what I expected, almost down to the tune and everything. It's not like, I mean, even he admits himself he doesn't really know how to play guitar very well. So a lot of songs sound the same. So it's kind of exactly what I expected. I did not expect them to go, or I didn't. When he said he had older footage, House of Horrors was not, or whatever it was, because I think the House of Horrors that was a Bray Wyatt thing. But whatever that the haunted house segment was from back in the day with Mello, that wasn't where I was expecting them to go. But like once they got there, I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I kind of liked that, make Trick Williams look a little bit like a bitch, as they said. Again, I think it served its purpose. Joe Hendry getting, one over on him using the guitar. And I liked the fact that he attacked the knees, not the head, because that's Trick Williams. It's his finisher, the trick shot. He's using his knees. So I'm wondering if that might even play into the story come Battleground, where Trick might be hobbling a little bit backstage before the match or something because he got hit with the knees. Which may play into Joe Hendry's play into the story and Joe Hendry retaining because of it. So long shot, who knows? We'll see. But certainly the first thing that went through my head when I saw that guitar break.
All right, let's go to. None of these matches are super critical. I guess the last one did have some effect on what was going to happen at the next. I should have gone with another segment, but let's do a match quick first. Zarya versus Kalani Jordan. This one was to get Kalani Jordan a shot at Sol Ruka's North American Championship. They are two of the only 3 people that have held it so far. I believe that's right. Jordan, Henley, Ruka. That's it.
Yep, that's it.
That is it. So yes, Jordan, of course, won this because why else would this match exist? Kalani talked to Zaruka earlier on in the locker room and talked tough, a little tough. Kalani not leaning super heel at this point, so much. So Yeah, Kalani versus Sol Ruka and Zarya. After the match, checks on Sol Ruka, who took a bump outside, and really she had it coming because there was a holy S chant, and Sol just goes out there and acts like she's a member of the crowd. It was definitely worse when she said "This is awesome" along with the crowd, because she's supposed to be cheering on her person, but she got into that and she was clapping along with the holy S chant a few times. Yeah. So wild stuff there. But at any rate, yeah, Kalani over Zarya. I don't know if there's a lot of talking points there, but if there are, go ahead and tell me what they are.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think we're seeing a bit of a I don't want to say dissension in the ranks. That's not necessarily it, but I think we're going to wind up seeing Zarya versus Sol Ruka sooner rather than later for the title. I don't think Kalani Jordan's going to win at Battleground. She was the inaugural North American champion, but I don't think she's going to be getting her title back here. Whether that's from interference from Zarya or not, I don't know. But I wouldn't put it past NXT to do that. The interference from Zarya might come in the form of help for Sol Ruka, like she's trying to help her, or it might come in with Zarya attacking Sol Ruka. I don't necessarily want to see Zarya turn heel, but Zarya last week called herself the champion, which I think went over both of our heads. I know I didn't notice it, and then they mentioned it on commentary and things like that. So I'm wondering, if we're going to see that happen, and Zarya, maybe attack Sol Ruka at Battleground or something. The match itself wasn't bad. I think it was Ryan. Where was no Goodfella says Kalani and Zarya look so cool. Kalani feels advanced from Zarya, but both main roster gals eventually. I kind of agree with that. I think Kalani, even though Kalani's I believe newer to the business of pro wrestling, Zarya has some more time on the indies, or has time on the indies. I don't think Kalani does at all. I feel like Kalani just, I don't know, looks almost a little bit more polished in the ring than Zarya. Sometimes I feel like Zarya might be a little bit mistimed, but again, super nitpicks because they, it's just like both of them, like he said, main roster. Definitely set for the main roster at some point in the near future.
I think Kalani's one of the most polished women on the brand at this point.
Yeah.
And I also like the look, just the tweaks they're doing. She looked like a girl among women, which was great if you just want to have her be an underdog. But if you really want her to be in the mix, she looks like she's grown up in front of our eyes. She really does look more the part of somebody who has the gravitas to stand there and go toe to toe with the main roster talent.
And I like, kind of like you said, with some of the tweaks they're making to her look. Like, I loved her hair tonight. They had the little bit of white in the hair. Like,
That's
white,
what I
gray,
meant.
silver.
Yeah.
Like,
she looked cool.
Yeah, she looked really cool with kind of like the big poofy hair, and it was just a nice evolution of the character. CJ coming in saying that I look a little bit different tonight. That's right. I tried shaving my beard, and as I said to Kevin Catani earlier in the week, shaving accidents happen, folks. Shaving accidents happen. So yeah, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can see I'm sort of beardless. If you're listening to it on audio, now you know. But the beard's coming back. It's coming back. CJ also asking about any update on Zoe Stark. I haven't heard anything. Obviously, that's Raw, not NXT, but that was a nasty looking injury last night. I've
been told. So I haven't seen the show yet. I've been told not to watch that moment.
It is reminiscent of Sid coming off the top rope.
Yeah. I don't need that in my life, particularly. You have to think Zoe was thankful that she didn't get cut here, because she could have been they didn't I think she was like a bubble person where they decided, can we get something out of her or not? And they decided they could, while gutting her faction. And yeah, what a bummer. What a bummer of a time to take to get that injury. But we do know that in general, I mean, they could cut her the day she comes back, but in general, when somebody's out with injury, they take care of them, and they back up that person who got injured on their watch.
No, exactly.
So
Yeah, I don't really think I have a whole
I
heck
guess
of a
we're
lot
kind
more
of
to
between
say.
things.
Yeah, I don't really have a heck of a lot more to say about Kalani and Zarya. Good match. I will admit I don't really like the finish with Soul kind of getting up on the apron and get interfering and stuff. It just, I don't know. It seemed forced, which obviously was. It's scripted, but it seemed too forced. And we already had a couple other matches and in similar ways tonight. It's just, I don't know. I didn't really like the finish, but that was really my only nitpick of the match.
Miles Bourne and Obafemi had a nice little segment tonight. This is not a Disney movie, Nate. I don't know if you knew that, but it's not. They're both PG, but otherwise it's not a Disney movie. So I liked this segment quite a bit. Oba putting over Miles and saying it's cool what you're fighting for, but this is not I will kill your dream like I kill every dream. I thought that this was pitch perfect from both Femi in terms of his delivery and from whoever wrote this, whatever team wrote this. I thought that this really captured him the way he needs to be captured, and Miles doing some pretty good things to acknowledge that he's the underdog, but he absolutely can and will do this. And wouldn't you know it, this is the moment that Jasper Troy made his big entrance earlier on with Ava and Stevie Turner and Robert Stone. Jasper Troy and Tyra May Steele were congratulated on winning LFG. And Jasper said his impact starts tonight, and he went all the way to the top. He attacked Obafemi, and Miles Bourne kind of cleared him out, ran him off. Did not come to blows with him, but Jasper Troy setting himself up to be there at the top. But yeah, I'm even though the match I keep thinking about is Hendry and Williams, the one that I am the most looking forward to. It seems unwinnable for Bourne. It really seems unwinnable. And that's part of the draw. Like, are they only doing this because they knew they didn't have to sell the show with this because of Hendry and Williams? Or is this really where it happens and Oba is on his final stretch toward the main roster? As I've always said, I would go broke if I was a betting man and I was betting on when guys are going to the main roster. But you can bring up Oba now. The only question is, when's the right time for him? Because don't just bring him up because you think he's ready. Bring him up because you got him figured in. So
100%.
Yeah. I think that this could be cool. So anything on that segment? Did anything come before? I mean, I guess there was a segment with Jasper Troy and Tyra May Steele being introduced. I know Evolve, but I don't know LFG. So I don't know these two. I just know everything I know is what they showed us last week in this.
Yep, me too. I haven't checked out LFG. That's what I keep meaning to, but man, there's only so much time in the week, and my week has certainly filled up with non-wrestling things in my personal life. So I don't even have time to play video games anymore. All I want to do is play Expedition 33. That's all I want to do. Just want to play Expedition 33, but I can't because here I am. Anyway, I'm not bitter. I'm actually not. I love doing the show. Don't get me wrong. I just want to play the game. Okay, so Obafemi, Miles Bourne, this is definitely what I'm looking forward to the most coming up on Battleground for, a lot of the reasons Kelly just brought up. I like the way they did this confrontation. I forget how they build it tonight, but this confrontation between the two of them, it was very respectful. Nobody broke out in. They didn't break out in a fight. Obviously, we saw what was his name, Jasper Troy.
Jasper Troy. I think
I-
it's more or less a play on Castor Troy.
Oh, okay. I want to say Jasper Q Dog because that was my first dog's name, Jasper Q Dog. But Jasper Troy. He looks like a big tough dude, and I kind of like the way that they positioned him against Obafemi right from the gate, saying he's a big deal, kind of similar to how they introduced Obafemi. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But I at least off the top here, I do like it. Although I wish he'd drop using that giant chain. It looks fake and plastic, and so just don't use it. But in terms of, like I said, in terms of this face off, thank you, Ryan, in the chat for correcting me there. They called it a face off. I really like this, the way that they're positioning, Obafemi right now as the ruler. He's calling Miles Bourne out for, you're saying that this is like Kelly said at the top of the segment here. This isn't a Disney movie. Just because you have a disability and you're standing up for a community, an entire community of people, doesn't mean you're going to come out and get your storybook ending. And then Miles Bourne basically stepping up and saying, well, no, yes, I am. And for exactly those reasons. I really like that. And I said that last week that I like this positioning of Miles Bourne. We really haven't heard him do a whole heck of a lot of talking before. But now they gave him the mic. His speech impediment is on. I mean, it's right out there for everybody to see and notice, and they're talking about it. They're talking about him being deaf and talking about him being somebody that can be a kind of a showman or front man for for the disabled community, or people even not necessarily disabled people, just have things that they're trying to overcome. He could be somebody that you look up to. I really like that. Everybody needs a hero, and whether or not I thought it would be Miles Bourne or not, hey, who knows? But I really like it. I can't see him beating Obafemi. As Kelly said, this really does seem unwinnable for Miles Bourne, but that really is part of the draw for me too, is because it just seems so astronomical that what if he does win? That would be such a feel-good moment, I think. Even though I hate to see Obafemi lose, I think it'd be a feel-good moment, because Miles Bourne, the story they're telling, and him winning the title and yada yada, but also feel-good moment because we know that might mean Obafemi may be going up to the main roster, and bigger, better things might be coming for him. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. In the chat, I told CJ that he could go ahead and ask us a Bayley question. So CJ says, Bayley implied that she might think about leaving WWE if things don't change. What's your opinion on this? And are you confident WWE will keep Bayley happy enough to sign a new contract? So after watching CVV's, Chris Van Vliet's interview with Bayley a couple weeks ago, she never said outwardly that she wasn't happy or that she wasn't going to stay. But when you listen to her and just the tone of her voice, it sounds like when her contract is up, she's thinking about moving on to somewhere else, whether that be AEW, TNA, Japan, the indie scene in general, who knows? But she basically said, she's done everything that there is to do in WWE other than win the two new women's titles, the Intercontinental and US title. But I don't disagree with her. I mean, she's done everything there is to do there. It might seem it might be to her, it might be super exciting to go out and do something different that's outside the WWE bubble, where she hasn't in 10, 12 years, however long it's been. So I hate to say it, CJ, because I know you want to see Bayley stay in the WWE, and frankly, so do I. I like what she brings to the table, but I think it's going to come, and I think WWE is going to try and keep her. I don't think they're going to really want to let her go, but I think it's going to come down to her choice at the end if she wants to take a chance on herself and go elsewhere, or stick around and continue to to kind of be that veteran and put some other people over.
And I'm going to go ahead and say that I think Bailey's a lifer. I've thought this for some time. I think Bailey's just got WWE in her blood. The best reason for her to leave would be so she could make a big return someday. That's the best reason for her to leave. It would have
I would
nothing
100%
to
agree
do
with that.
with where she wanted to go. And I think the next biggest thing that that Mercedes Moné will do is her return to the WWE. I really think that's the biggest thing that that Mercedes can do at this point. Because there's just nowhere else that is going to make you the level of star that you, well, especially somebody like Mercedes wants to be. I think that I would caution though that whether Bailey stays or goes, I think her booking is never going to be the highest level. It's never going to be at the super high level that it once was. There's so much talent that's come up, and Bailey is largely to thank for that. She's one of the people to thank for that. She's one of the ones who really came up during an exciting time in women's wrestling. So, yeah, I don't think she will ever be booked like she was again, but Bailey won the damn Royal Rumble. That's not nothing. She won multiple world titles. I don't know that she'll ever be pushed like that again. But am I saying she's not that great? No. I love Bailey. No, I adore her. I do think she's great. I'm just saying that she used to be a big fish in a small pond. Now she's a big fish, but it is a big pond. So there's a lot more talent out there than there was when she came up, because she was part of a revolution that saw her as a really big piece of a small puzzle. So it's there's just a lot of talent there. Do I agree with you that Bailey is underrated? Yes, I do. I do think she is almost criminally underrated, but that is another chat for another time. Somebody else asked me if when Mercedes comes back, does she take the name Mercedes Moné? That is a good question, because she's done well with that name, but she was a major star for a long time as Sasha Banks. This isn't the kind of thing where Shawn Spears is coming back and it didn't matter that we were losing Ty Dillinger, because Ty Dillinger is a whole big who cares. Sasha Banks was a big deal. And not to belabor this, but we've already done so. Steve Repsher says Mercedes is so underwhelming in AEW. Good wrestling, yeah, but she's lost in the shadow of Timeless Tony. In what little I've dropped into AEW, that is absolute fact. Tony Storm could not buy a character or even a freaking personality in WWE. She just didn't have one. It drove me crazy. They just, like, she was all look and like no substance at all.
Yeah.
And now she's doing this character that's one of the best in all of wrestling.
No, I mean, I remember talking about that. Like, neither one of us, and Tom back then too, the three of us, we were like, we like Tony Storm, but we didn't get Tony Storm because there wasn't much to latch onto. And now, holy shit.
Yeah. And Mercedes is out there playing the same role she's always played and playing it as well as she's always played it, which is to say it's really good that she's a good wrestler, because on the mic, she ain't much. I think she comes back as Sasha Banks and they just don't mention it, or they just mention, she had another name out there, whatever.
I think it's also going to depend on if she wants to give up the rights to the name Mercedes Moné. Because
that's true.
If she comes in and WWE likes to own the rights to all their names and things. Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona was just talking about this on his Chris Van Vliet interview. It coming back, whether it be Zack Ryder or Matt Cardona. He said Zack Ryder's not his first choice, but if that's what they want, he doesn't necessarily want to sign the rights to Matt Cardona over. So I think it would kind of be the same thing with Mercedes Moné. If she doesn't want to sign the rights to that name over, then she'll be coming back to Sasha Banks.
Let's talk about tonight's best match. Your opener was Javon Evans versus Sean Legacy versus Ashante the Adonis. Ashante looked bigger and meaner in there than usual. Now, Javon's super slim, so maybe that's an easy thing to do. But yeah, this was exciting. And Sean got a big win here in a triple threat here on this show. So very cool. Legacy is somebody I'm watching in Evolve. I am 2 episodes back in Evolve. I literally have been putting it off because Nikita Lyons is in the main event of the next one I'm watching, and I just don't want to see it because it's going to be terrible. Yeah, it's. But anyway, I really like Sean Legacy, and it looks like his ship is starting to come in. So yeah, Sean pins, of course, Ashante. They're not gonna job Evans here. He's a long-term project, taking his turn outside the scope of things. But we had a couple of people in the chat saying that Evans is eventually the one who takes the title off of Femi, and that is definitely one of the better options out there. I don't know if they're married to one person or not yet, unless they have plans for Femi that we don't know about. But Evans definitely could be that guy. Yeah, Ryan Slorio says, first time seeing Sean Legacy wrestle that isn't in a battle royal. He opened my eyes. Yeah, keep him open and watch his matches on Evolve if you can find the time. I totally get it. Evolve is not like appointment television, but he's so good on it. And I think everything he's done is either a singles match or might have been in a 6-man at one point. I can't remember. But yeah, he's done his share of work there. But Legacy wins this one. Ricky Saints on commentary, putting all 3 guys over, and then Ethan Page spoiling the party, attacking Ricky Saints. A lot of moving parts here in the opening match, which I think was by a very comfortable margin the best match of the night. Nate?
I would agree with you there. And as the one that recapped this tonight, holy crap, this was annoying to recap because there was just so much going on.
I thought that too. When I watched the first match, I'm like, I hope they're not throwing this kind of show at Nate.
Yep. But you know what? It's okay. It was still fun. I am I really, really like Sean Legacy. Matter of fact, I really think I need to just carve out some time to go back and look at a couple of his matches in Evolve, or just watch some of Evolve. Again, don't have a whole lot of free time right now, but I might try and do that. His finisher, it was like you basically put Adonis up in like a reverse Death Valley driver and then spun him around last second into a neck breaker. I don't even know what to call that. It was phenomenal. I absolutely loved that. I've never seen anything quite like that before. And he executed that flawlessly. I'm sure Adonis helped him out a little bit there, but that was just so cool. But yeah, easily match of the night. This was all over the place. I liked the fact the beginning of the match, because Adonis, we had kind of I don't want to say unique triple threat, but the rare triple threat where we had 2 faces and a heel, and the 2 faces kind of teamed up and kept throwing Adonis out the ring, and we just saw the 2 of them kind of go at it for the first couple of minutes of the match, and then Adonis comes in and cleans house, and they kind of just went from there. But I think this really showcased all 3 men. I think this really was a way to get Sean Legacy over a bit more within the NXT audience. I don't think he's going to be long for Evolve with how they've been kind of showcasing him on the show, in that battle royal, and then again here with this win over. I was going to say 2 of NXT's biggest stars, but I guess one of the NXT's biggest stars, and then Ashante the Adonis. But very, very good. And that's not to knock Ashante. I think Ashante is absolutely a great talent, but he's definitely down on the card compared to Evans and even Legacy at this point. I think you probably put Legacy up a little bit higher on that ladder than you would Adonis right now, even though Legacy's technically not an NXT wrestler. then the addition of the Ricky Saints, Ethan Page stuff, that I kind of liked that because obviously you had the two of them fighting over by the announce table. Javon Evans with the suicide dive or over the top rope, whatever he did, some bouncy stuff over the top rope to take the two of them out. Now all of a sudden, boom, he's now inserted in the North American title picture, or at least for sure. Ava didn't put him in the match when she made the match, but I think Javon Evans and Sean Legacy both could potentially lay a claim to the North American title. Ava even said as much about Sean Legacy in that segment a little bit later on, but I think Javon Evans can weasel his way in there too. But yeah, if you haven't watched this episode tonight, go out of your way to watch this match. It's certainly well worth it.
Steve Repture asks, did you see they pulled next Tuesday's NXT TV from Tampa and put it back in the PC? Yes.
Yeah.
They mentioned that on the show. They didn't focus on the negative, so they didn't say that it was being pulled from Tampa. They just said a change of venue, and it will be back in the PC. Ryan Florio asks, is Legacy officially signed, or is he part of WWE ID? I don't know.
I'm trying to
he
find
definitely is
now.
part of WWE ID. Yeah, you go ahead and look at that. But if he's not officially signed, they put him over on. Let's put it this way. Brock Benningfield says Legacy climbing the power rankings. He definitely is. He does now have more singles wins on NXT than Bobby Fish. So,
now, how much fish could Bobby Fish fry?
1-0. He could fry 0 fish if fish are equal to singles wins.
So it does look like Legacy is WWE ID.
He never had one.
If Legacy has signed an NXT contract, it hasn't been announced. All I can find is that he is a WWE ID prospect.
Okay. Yeah. Well, if he hadn't signed, he will now, because clearly he knows that the machine is to some degree behind him. So there you go with that. There are 3 other matches on this show. I don't know that any of them super matter. They're kind of saving most of the talent that's going to be on. I think Kalani was the only one who wrestled tonight that is actually booked on Battleground, right? They're just kind of saving everybody else. Yeah, she's the only one. Okay, so Josh Briggs versus Sean Spears. Why not? Briggs says this one's for Yoshiki, but he got cheated, and there was nobody there to back him up when Izzy Dame got into it and interfered. And Sean Spears got the rare win on NXT and beat Josh Briggs. They're bringing up Inamura so much that that he can only be coming back. There's no way he's not. And why not just roll in the other singles match? Lola Vice over Fallon Henley. Fallon loses because losing is what Fatal Influence do. They still did not feature nor mention Jasmine Nix, so I don't know if they're retooling her and doing something else, but it looks silly when there's a power struggle for the leader of the faction when the faction has 2 people. But yeah, they had Vaquera and Lola had a scene earlier on where Fatal Influence showed up there as well. I don't know what to say other than I'm kind of surprised that JC's still around. Good for her, but I'm surprised on those 2 singles matches.
So I have no idea if this has anything to do with anything with Jasmine Nix, and I hate to propagate rumors or anything, but I just curious, so I Googled it. And there's a Reddit post about Jasmine Nix getting some backlash for some of her boyfriend's things that he posted online. There's a video I can't obviously watch right now because I'm doing a podcast, but there's a video of him, I guess, walking around saying some weird stuff. So I don't know if that plays into any of it, but there that is. Interesting though, because I noticed that too, that she was not around tonight, and we obviously noticed last week Jasmine Nix wasn't around, so no mention of her at all. I don't know. Fatal Influence is it's just there. I don't think it's really helping anybody right now. I think it's hurting Fallon Henley, if anything, because I think JC Jane and Jasmine Nix are bringing her down. Fallon Henley's definitely a star. JC Jane, I'm hate to say it, but I can't. I'm almost surprised she didn't go the way of Gigi Dolan with this last round of cuts. It and again, I don't want to see anybody lose their job, and I hate saying anything like that, but she's never really connected with the audience in the way that somebody like Fallon Henley has. So I'm just kind of surprised that after this long, she's still there. So yeah, there's that. Lola Vice versus Fallon Henley. I mean, it was a good match. I think with Lola Vice's win, we saw Fallon and JC kind of screaming at one another after the match. So I think this story of who's in charge of Fatal Influence or just a complete breakup of Fatal Influence is in the future for us, and I am completely okay with that. What was the other match? Briggs and Spears. Yeah, again, like Kelly said, kind of a this was a wait. Did Sean Spears win? I have Josh Briggs written down as the winner here.
You should not, because Spears won this by
geez.
Cheetorino.
You know what? In my report, I even wrote down Spears won and then winner Josh Briggs. I got to go and change that. Okay, that's what confused me. So I was looking at the winner section of my report. But no, I mean, it was a fun match. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say here. I mean, I do like the fact that Spears is kind of poking at him for some of his past history, with Brooks Jensen and things like that, and kind of saying he's the reason all of his partners leave him and whatnot, just playing some of those mind games. But yeah, not I don't know. I don't really have much more to say there. It existed, and the story continues.
OTM, they beat Cale Dixon and Uriah Connors. We knew that was going to happen. They have a new team finisher. I think it's new, but at any rate, I think OTM is going to be a big deal. But the match was just there. Ava had her scene with Saints and Paige, and she tried to talk tough. I mean, she tried. She's not really up to it, but she tried. She gave it a shot. And said, "You guys are going to have a match because I want you to." It came off very sad. Tony D had his comments on Stacks. They were whatever. Thea Hale and Tatum Paxley had a scene that was almost touching before Jada came in and attacked Thea Hale and then just verbally battered Tatum Paxley when she's at her lowest, which really made Jada look just atrocious. But that is what they're trying to do right now. And they had some hype for Jordan Grace that had some bizarre music at the beginning of it. And and it was okay. Oh, and Dark State had a scene that I actually really liked. I wish Cutler James could talk because the other three can.
I did like that because it finally kind of introduced everybody from Dark State. Because I don't know, from week to week, I can't remember anybody but Dion Lennox. So I'm glad that they're kind of every week they seem to, or at least in the past few weeks anyway, they've been showcasing Dark State and mentioning those names to try and get them to stick in our brains.
Yeah. And it was really dopey when they did it with the D'Angelo family introducing them via dossiers. That was no good. But this one with the four guys putting each other over was awesome. And my guy, Saquon, was the first one to put somebody over and the last one to be put over. So that was fun. Kind of, I don't know if that was intentional to make him look like the potential eventual breakout guy. But if I'm Osiris Griffin, I'm like, does it have to be Cutler James that talks about me? whatever. Cutler is he's a work in progress. There's a reason it's NXT. But the other
Developmental.
guys are all considerably ahead of him. Osiris is considerably ahead of him. Dion's ahead of Osiris, and Saquon and Dion are different characters. I think they're both doing well, but if I got to choose one, my heart wants Saquon. I really dig what he's got going. So, and Brock says, no, Ryan says, and they all have the same personality, LOL. All of them except Saquon, because he's the wild card. He's a weirdo. But yes, they need to not all do the same. They need to not all go for the same personality on the mic. I'm sure when they're in their rehearsal sessions, it's really, really tempting to just do what the last guy did. But find your own voice. That's very important. Brock says they will all be referred to me as that one guy from Dark State. I will not do that, but it is my job not to do so. So, but I won't begrudge you if you want to do that for a while. There you go. And thank you for banning that spam garbage, Nate.
That's what I'm here for.
Yep. Okay. So on the tag match, OTM, they're cool. And I mean, they're real cool. They look, and they're terrifying. I hope they're getting the push they deserve now. And any of those other segments?
Yeah, I mean, not a whole lot on the segments. You know, on the tag match, I feel like this match was exactly what it was supposed to be. You know, Chase U, Uriah Connors, and Cale Dixon. I actually remembered their names. Wow. You know, these guys obviously up and comers, and I feel like this is exactly the spot they're supposed to be in, because it's exactly the spot that Chase U was in before they started climbing up the card and you know, becoming NXT Tag Team Champions and things like that. You know, so this new version of Chase University led by Andre Chase. So I think it's exactly what we needed out of them. You know, they got a little bit of offense in on OTM, but essentially this was OTM just showing how dominant they can be, and why they're probably going to be the next NXT Tag Team Champions. So we got a little bit of story development for Chase U, a little bit of story development for OTM, 3 minutes and 10 seconds, I think it was. I think this match basically did exactly what it was supposed to do. And I'm looking forward to seeing what both of these teams wind up doing. You know, obviously Andre Chase, really glad to see, or sorry, Chase University rather, really glad to see them back. You know, and see that name back, because they were such a big staple, big part of NXT for so long. At OTM, they're just big bad guys that I think are about to kind of overtake the tag division. So there we go. I dig it. But yeah, and then in terms of like the other segments, there's nothing I can really think of that we either haven't said or is important.
Brock says Chase U can live on infinitely with this concept. New students each semester. Yeah, and the best part is I'm just gonna keep bringing up Bodie Hayward because that's the kind of doofus I am.
Or shoot.
So yeah, you know, Nate, somebody else put over your shave job earlier on, and I'm actually on board. I think.
Yeah, you know, it's different. It's different.
It is, but I think I'm pro.
Right.
But
I'll take it.
I'm not an attractive female, so do with that what you will.
I'm taken anyway.
This freaking guy. Ryan says, don't forget about Bakir segment. I, of all people, should not forget about Stephanie Bakir. I did kind of gloss over it. She did have a conversation where she was like, why, yes, I'm the greatest human who ever lived. And Kelly Wells, thank you for always saying nice things about me. That's what she said in the scene, Nate, right? Was that it?
Or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I was just thinking, wow, she continues to acquit herself really well in these talk segments that are not in her native tongue. And she's not like struggling or anything like that, but I feel like she's already come a long way in terms of the work she's done there. And in
Yeah.
the ring, she was already there, and she continues to be there. Really good stuff. I just, oh God, I love her. Yeah, I'm psyched that she did what she did. And again, she could be losing this match. They certainly gave Jordan a kind of superstar treatment in her segment today. So if any of the titles are changing hands, well, I think Trick's winning the TNA. But if any other titles are changing hands, I also think there's a good chance that this one is. I don't know that I would do that so soon after she lost one of the two that she had, but again, Stephanie may be figured in for bigger things. God, I don't know. Put her in the Money in the Bank match.
Yeah, I mean, especially with both
yeah,
Roxy and Julia going up. I mean, it could be just a matter of time for her.
It could, and the only downside of that is you can't push everybody at once.
Right.
You can't establish everybody at once. You can in NXT. The rules are different there, and the expectation is different from the fans. But on the main roster, in front of a crowd that mostly doesn't watch NXT, I think it's dangerous. And not only doesn't watch NXT, but doesn't watch the Indies. So I think that's real dangerous. So I don't know. I hope they take a little more time with Stephanie, and we get to write and talk about her a little bit longer. So that, I believe, is our show, unless there's any chance.
Oh yeah,
that
we didn't do emails tonight.
Well, there weren't any when I last looked. Kevin did do one. Salutations, gents. I hope this email finds you well. I was kept from my beloved NXT by those silly twins again, but just knowing that Joe Hendry was dazzling audiences tonight was enough for me. While I wasn't able to watch, I did read that LFG winner Jasper Troy made his presence known tonight. Considering this might have been the first time either of you witnessed him, what did you think of his on-air presence? Did you all see him on the main roster at some point in the nearish future? Near? Nah. I think it'll be a while. In a similar vein, Shawn Legacy showed out in a prominent match. What do you all think is his floor and ceiling? Floor is not making the main roster at all. Ceiling is, I think that this guy could be a tag champion and a secondary champion.
Yep.
But with the amount of talent on the main roster, even the secondary championship will be tough. But that's as high as he goes. Thanks as always. Someone tell me the twins to find another network to play on. Go VIP and listen to 8YB. Office hours are now over. The professor, Kevin P. Catani, PhD. I thought the twins were rained out. I was almost sure of it, but I guess maybe they figured out a way to get in this night game. I'm not sure. Nate, anything else on his email?
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much agree with you. I mean, Jasper Troy, I liked his presence. I want to hear more of him on the mic. Again, I haven't watched LFG, so there's probably stuff with him on the mic out there already. But I wasn't impressed with what he said with him tonight in that short couple sentences he had with Ava. It felt a little bit forced and scripted, which obviously it is, but you don't want it to feel that way. Ryan Solario coming in saying horseshoe, gotta just bring that up because
I gave him the star. I
did.
assume he knew that was me.
Yes. But yeah, that's really the thing with Jasper Troy is I want to see a little bit more of him on the mic first. But what I saw of him in the ring, it was the first time I've actually seen him in the ring. He seems very physical. Obviously, it wasn't a match; it was just an attack. But I so far so good. I don't get the same warm and fuzzies that I did, and actually I guess the warm and fuzzies is the right thing, but I don't get the same feeling that I did when I first saw Obafemi on TV. When I first saw Obafemi, I was like, okay, that's going to be a star. but I don't necessarily I didn't get that out of Jasper Troy, but that's not saying he won't be. Just my first impression wasn't quite as high as it was for somebody like Obafemi, who he attacked, which is why I'm making the comparison there. Sean Legacy, I agree with Kelly. I think, the floor for him is he doesn't get past, or he doesn't actually get signed to WWE, period. And kind of stays on the indies, which I don't think is going to happen. But I do think the ceiling for him is probably, like Kelly said, tag champion or secondary champion. Maybe flirting with might get like a token, WWE or World Heavyweight Championship match, maybe. But at least from what I'm seeing so far, I think a good conservative ceiling anyway would be that tag team champion or secondary champion level.
That, I believe, is our show. I'm Kelly Wells, and you can find me on Blue Sky at Other Kelly Wells. Nate, who are you?
Nate Lindberg. You can check out the things I do at natelindberg.com.
Cheers. And you know what? I won't see you on Saturday. I'm going to see if maybe that one can end up being Nate and David. I don't know what's going to happen. I won't see the show that night. I will probably have to wait a couple of days. And more than likely we'll accidentally look at spoilers. But at any rate, I'll see you Tuesday. So there you go. Cheers.